They say money can't buy everything. But when I pulled that white billionaire out of the ocean that Tuesday morning, gasping and half dead, I didn't know I was about to prove that saying right. My name is Nia Thompson, and this is the story of how I saved a man's life and accidentally fell in love with the wrong person. Before we dive into this crazy story, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you're going to want to hear how this ends. And drop a comment telling me, have you ever met someone you knew you shouldn't fall for? Let's go. Let me paint you a picture of my life before everything changed. I'm 28 years old, living in Hampton Bay, this wealthy coastal town where people like me are usually cleaning the houses, not living in them. I worked 2 jobs, waitressing at the yacht club during the day and night shifts as a nurse at the community hospital. Single mum to my 6-year-old son Tyler, drowning in student loans, barely making rent each month. That was my reality. I'd wake up every morning, drop Tyler at school, hustle all day, come home exhausted, and do it all over again. That was just life, you know. I wasn't complaining. I was surviving. That Tuesday started like any other. I woke up at 5 in the morning to go jogging on the beach. It was the only time I had for myself, the only peace I got before the chaos of the day. The sun wasn't even up yet, just that grey-blue light touching the horizon. The beach was empty except for a few seagulls. I had my headphones in, listening to old-school R&B, just trying to clear my mind before another long shift. Then I heard it. Even through my music, I heard screaming. At first, I thought maybe I was imagining it, but I pulled out my headphones and there it was again, someone yelling for help from the water. I looked out and saw this yacht, capsized about 50 yards out, and a man struggling in the waves. The current was pulling him further out, and he was going under. I didn't think. I just ran, kicked off my shoes, threw my phone on the sand, and dove in. Now I'm a strong swimmer, grew up swimming in lakes and rivers back home. But that ocean current was no joke. The water was freezing, waves crashing over my head, salt burning my eyes. I could barely see him, but I kept swimming toward where I heard the splashing. When I finally reached him, he was barely conscious, his lips blue, eyes rolling back. I grabbed him under his arms and started pulling him back to shore. Girl, let me tell you, that was the longest swim of my life. My arms were burning, my legs cramping up, swallowing seawater with every wave. But I kept thinking about Tyler, about how he needed his mama, and somehow that gave me the strength to keep going. I finally got us to shallow water and dragged this man onto the beach. He wasn't breathing right, so I started CPR, chest compressions, rescue breaths, praying the whole time. After what felt like forever, he coughed up water and gasped for air. I sat back in the sand, soaking wet, heart pounding, just trying to catch my breath. The man was conscious now, looking at me with these confused blue eyes, mumbling thank you over and over. That's when I heard the sirens. Someone must have called 911. I tried to slip away because I was already late for my shift at the yacht club, but the paramedics wanted to check me out too. News crews started showing up out of nowhere, cameras everywhere asking me questions. That's when I found out who I'd just saved. Blake Morrison, 35-year-old tech billionaire. The man owned half the buildings in Hampton Bay, had his face on magazine covers, lived in a mansion on the hill that you could see from everywhere in town. And I'd just pulled him out of the ocean in my raggedy jogging clothes, with my hair looking a complete mess. The media called me a hero. I called myself late for work. I changed into my uniform in the yacht club bathroom and started my shift, trying to forget the whole thing. But that evening, there was a knock on my apartment door. This man, in an expensive suit, handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $50,000 and a note from Blake Morrison thanking me for saving his life. $50,000. That's more money than I'd seen in my entire life. That could pay off half my student loans, fix my car, get Tyler into a better school. But something about it felt wrong. Like he was trying to pay me off, reduce what happened to a transaction. So I tore up that check and sent it back with a note that said, I didn't save you for money, I saved you because it was the right thing to do. I thought that would be the end of it. But Blake Morrison showed up at the yacht club 2 days later, sat in my section, and ordered coffee. When I brought it to him, he looked at me and said, "You're the first person in 10 years who's turned down my money. I want to know why." I told him I had customers to serve. He said he'd wait. This man came back every day for a week. Just sat there, drinking coffee, watching me work, trying to start conversations. At first, I was annoyed. Rich white man, probably bored with his yacht parties, wanting to feel good about himself by talking to the help. But he was persistent. Finally, he asked me to dinner as a proper thank you. I said no. He asked again. I said no. Then he offered to make a donation to Tyler's elementary school and, well, I couldn't say no to that. We met for coffee instead of dinner. I thought it would be 30 minutes, get it over with, go home. 3 hours later, we were still sitting there talking. And here's the thing, Blake wasn't what I expected. He wasn't arrogant or condescending. He asked real questions about my life, about Tyler, about my dreams. He told me about growing up with money but feeling empty, about building a company but losing himself in the process. He admitted he was lonely, surrounded by people who wanted something from him, but no one who actually saw him. I understood that, being invisible. I'd been invisible my whole life, to the rich people I served, to the system that kept me struggling, to everyone who looked through me like I was furniture. We were from completely different worlds, but in that coffee shop, we were just two lonely people trying to figure life out. After that, Blake started showing up at my apartment. He'd bring food, sit on my worn-out couch, and help Tyler with homework. My son loved him, kept asking when Mr. Blake was coming back. I kept my guard up, though. My best friend Kesha warned me straight up. "Girl, rich white men don't marry black women from the hood. They date us in secret and marry their own kind. Don't get your heart broken." I told her it wasn't like that. We were just friends. But I was lying to myself, because Blake started showing me his world too, and I started seeing past the money. He took me to his office late at night when no one was there, showed me the projects he was working on, the pressure he was under. He introduced me to his favourite taco truck that he'd sneak away to when he wanted to feel normal. We'd walk on the beach at sunset talking about everything and nothing, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Like maybe life could be more than just surviving. One night we were sitting on the beach, same spot where I'd pulled him from the water. The stars were out, waves crashing gently, and he turned to me and said, "You saved my life, Nia. Not just that day in the ocean, every day since." Then he kissed me. And Lord help me, I kissed him back. It was soft and sweet and terrifying all at once. But reality hit fast. I pulled away and said, "Blake, what are we doing? We're from different worlds. Your people, my people, this doesn't work in real life." He grabbed my hands and said, "I don't care about any of that, I care about you." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so bad, but I said, "You might not care, but the world cares. Your world cares." We decided to try anyway. Keep it quiet just between us. For a few weeks it was beautiful. Stolen moments, secret dates, late-night phone calls after Tyler went to bed. I felt like a teenager again, giddy and hopeful. But secrets don't stay secret for long. A paparazzi got a photo of us holding hands at a restaurant outside of town. By the next morning, it was everywhere. Social media exploded. The comments were brutal. Racist garbage about me being a gold digger, about how I probably got pregnant on purpose to trap him, about how I didn't belong in his world. People I'd never met had opinions about my life, my intentions, my worth. Blake's business associates started treating me like I was invisible again, but worse. At a company event he invited me to, this older white woman actually asked me if I was the catering staff. When Blake introduced me as his girlfriend, the room went cold. I smiled through it, but inside, I was dying. Then his family found out. His father called him, threatened to cut him off from the family business if he didn't end things with me. His mother was even worse. Made comments about my background, questioned whether I was after his money, suggested I probably had other children with other men. Blake defended me, argued with them, but I could see it was tearing him apart. The breaking point came when I overheard a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. Blake's father showed up at his office while I was waiting in the lobby. The door was open just enough that I heard him say, "How much does she want? Everyone has a price. I'll write her a check right now if she walks away and never contacts you again." I left before I heard Blake's response. I couldn't breathe. The humiliation, the anger, the heartbreak, it all crashed over me at once. That night, Tyler asked me, "Mama, why doesn't Mr. Blake come around anymore? Did I do something wrong?" Breaking my son's heart broke mine all over again. I called Blake and told him it was over. He came to my apartment, tried to fight for us, but I was done. I said, "You should go back to your world and I'll stay in mine. That's how it's supposed to be." He said he loved me. I said love wasn't enough. He left, and I cried for 3 days straight. 3 weeks went by, the longest 3 weeks of my life. I threw myself into work, focused on Tyler, tried to forget. But I couldn't. Every song reminded me of him. Every sunset made me ache. I'd saved his life, and somehow he'd become my life. Then one evening there was a knock on my door. I opened it and there was Blake, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Before I could say anything, he said, "I walked away." I didn't understand. He explained that he'd left his family's company, started his own venture with his own money, cut ties with everyone who disrespected me. He said, "You didn't steal my wealth, Nia. You stole something way more valuable. You stole my heart, my peace, my authentic self. You stole my fake life and gave me a real one." He got down on one knee right there in my doorway and said, "I don't want a life without you and Tyler in it. I don't care what anyone thinks. I love you and I'm going to spend every day proving that you can trust me." I pulled him up, kissed him, and said yes to whatever this crazy love was going to be. Blake went public with our relationship, posted about us on social media, defended me against every hateful comment, showed up for me in ways I didn't even know I needed. And yeah, we still faced challenges. People still had opinions, his family still didn't approve. But we faced it together. 6 months later, life looks different. Blake's new company is thriving. He's focused on social impact now, building technology that actually helps people. I finished nursing school because he helped me with my loans, not as charity but as an investment in our future. Tyler calls him Blake, not Dad, but they have their own special bond. Basketball in the driveway, bedtime stories, Saturday morning pancakes. Last week we went back to that beach where it all started. Standing in the same spot where I pulled him from the water, Blake said, "You saved my life that day." I looked at him and said, "No, baby. We saved each other." So yeah, I saved a billionaire from drowning. But what I really stole, I stole his heart, his certainty, his comfortable life. And he stole mine right back. We stole each other's loneliness, each other's fear, each other's walls. Because here's what I learned. Love doesn't care about your bank account, or the colour of your skin, or what side of town you're from. Love just cares if you're brave enough to fight for it. And we fought. We're still fighting, but we're fighting together. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more real talk stories. Drop a comment. Do you believe love can conquer all, or are some differences too big? And share this with someone who needs to hear that real love is worth fighting for. Thanks for riding with me through this journey. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.